Rita, please stop bathing at night. The night is not for you, her grandmother begged and warned. Rita rolled her eyes. Nana, leave me alone. I have been bathing at night and nothing ever happened. I can't sleep without bathing. I just hope you won't learn the hard way. Rita was the most beautiful girl in the village of Obianuju. People often stopped to admire her smooth, dark skin, her bright eyes, and her gentle smile. But what made Rita different was her strange habit. She always bathed at night. While others in the village took their baths before the sun went down, Rita waited until darkness wrapped around the village like a thick blanket. Then she would fetch water and disappear behind her house, where no one could see her. Her mother, Yemi, had warned her many times. Rita, bathing at night is not good. Spirits walk when the sun sleeps. Don't call trouble with water, she would say, shaking her head. But Rita would laugh. Mama, that's just an old story. I like the night. It's quiet and cool. The water feels better then. Her grandmother, Nana, who rarely spoke, looked at Rita one evening with tired eyes. It's not the water, she said softly. It's what the water calls in the dark. Rita didn't take her seriously. She thought Nana was just being old and strange. What harm could water do? So that night, as usual, Rita took her clay pot and walked to the back of the house. The moon was high and the night air was calm. She hummed to herself as she poured cold water over her skin. The stars sparkled above. Everything felt peaceful. But as she reached for more water, a breeze passed, soft and cold. She stopped. The air had changed. It was too quiet. No crickets, no frogs, no rustling leaves, just silence. Then she heard it, a soft sound, like someone breathing, slow, deep, close. Rita turned, water dripping from her body. She saw nothing. She looked around again. Still nothing. She quickly finished her bath and ran back inside, trying not to show she was afraid. But the next night she bathed again, and the breathing returned. This time, it was closer. That night, Rita couldn't sleep. She lay on her mat, her eyes wide, staring at the wooden ceiling above. Her heart beat fast and her ears listened for every sound. The soft breathing she heard behind the house still echoed in her mind, but she had seen no one, not even a shadow. Mama, did you hear anything last night? She asked at breakfast. Yemi looked up from the firewood. Was there a noise? I thought I heard someone behind the house. Yemi stopped stirring the pot. Rita, I've told you, this night bathing, it's not good. Before you wake up, things that should be left alone. Rita rolled her eyes and stood up. I'm not a child. It was just the wind. But Nana, sitting in the corner peeling yams, didn't look up. She just whispered, it wasn't the wind. That evening, Rita waited for the moon to rise. She didn't want to be scared, not by old stories. So she grabbed her pot and stepped behind the house again. The ground was dry, the night air cool. She set the pot down and started scooping water over her skin. Goosebumps rose, but she told herself it was the cold. Still, she couldn't shake the feeling that she was being watched. Then it happened again. The breathing. This time it was louder, deep and slow, like something was crouching nearby, waiting. She froze, water trickling down her back. Who's there? She whispered, her voice shaking. No answer. She slowly looked over her shoulder. Still no one. She dipped her hand into the pot, but the water felt colder than before. Much colder, like ice. Suddenly the pot shook, just once. But it was enough. Rita screamed and ran, water flying from her body, feet slapping against the ground. She burst into the house, panting, eyes wide. Nana rushed to her. What happened? Rita didn't answer. She just pointed to the back of the house, where the moonlight stopped. Nana looked out the window. Then she said something that made Rita's blood run cold. It has noticed you. Rita stayed indoors the entire next day. Her skin still felt cold, like the water had soaked into her bones. She kept glancing at the door, jumping at every noise. Nana gave her herbs to chew, and Yemi prayed quietly under her breath. But nobody spoke of the night. As the sun began to set, Rita paced the room. She didn't want to go outside, but the need to bathe crawled over her skin again, like dust she couldn't shake off. I'll fetch the water early, she said quickly, but Nana blocked the door with her cane. You will not go out there again. Not tonight. I can't sleep with sweat on me, Rita protested. Nana's voice was calm but firm. Then stay awake. Better to be tired than taken. That night, Rita waited until they both slept. Then, quiet as a cat, she tiptoed to the back door. She picked up her pot, her wrapper tucked tight around her chest. The air outside was heavy, still. Even the crickets had stopped singing. She walked slowly to the corner of the house. She knelt and poured water into her pot. It sloshed softly. Then she heard it, a voice. Not loud, not angry, just close and whispering. Her name.
Rita.
She looked around. No one.
Rita.
The whisper came again, this time from inside the pot. Her heart thudded. She leaned forward, her eyes wide, then she saw it. A face floated in the water. Pale, eyes shut, mouth open. Rita screamed, knocking the pot over. Water spilled into the dirt. She ran, her wet feet slipping, her wrapper loosening. She didn't stop until she slammed the door shut and collapsed into her grandmother's arms. Nana held her tight. "What did you see?" But Rita didn't say anything. Rita couldn't sleep that night. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw the face in the water, its pale skin, the hollow eyes, the way it just floated, waiting. In the morning, Nana sprinkled ashes and salt by the doorway. She muttered something under her breath as she pressed her palm to Rita's forehead. "No more bathing at night," she said quietly, "even if the moon calls your name." But Rita didn't answer. She just stared at the mat by the back door, because that was where she'd found the pot. And last night, before she ran, she remembered something else. Something that still made her stomach twist. The pot moved. It didn't roll. It didn't tip. It shifted, like something underneath it had pushed it. Later that afternoon, while Nana napped and Yemi went to the market, Rita tiptoed to the back door. She stood there staring at the mat. Her throat was dry, but her feet moved on their own. She bent down and lifted the mat. Nothing, just brown dirt. She exhaled. Then her eye caught something small poking from the earth. She dug gently with her fingers. It was a black bead, round, cold. She picked it up and turned it in her hand. The moment her fingers closed around it, a breeze swept through the house. But the door was shut. Rita dropped the bead. She stepped back, heart pounding. The bead rolled across the floor, by itself. It stopped at the base of the wall. And then, tap, 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 from beneath the ground. She turned and ran to the front room, slamming the inner door behind her. Nana opened her eyes. "What did you touch?" Rita stands beside her, trembling. "A bead. Just a bead." Nana turned her face to the wall and whispered, "Not everything buried should be dug up." That night the tapping didn't stop. It went on until the cock crowed. The next night was quieter than usual. Too quiet. The frogs that always croaked by the stream had gone silent. Even the trees didn't rustle. The village slept. But Rita stayed wide awake, her blanket clutched to her chest. She kept her eyes on the back door. Nothing moved. Not the mat, not the shadows. But at exactly midnight, someone knocked. Just one knock, then silence. Rita sat up slowly. Her eyes darted to the curtain that hung over the doorway. It didn't move, but the knock rang again, this time softer. Nana sits on her mat. "Don't answer it," she said. Rita didn't move. This time, the knock came from the front door, then the window, then the back again. It was like something was circling the house. Then, she heard a voice, a woman's voice, soft and gentle. "Rita, child of the water, come wash your sins." "Who's there?" Rita asked, her voice shaking. Then silence. Then the curtain by the door moved, just a little, like fingers had pulled it. Rita screamed. Nana rushed to her, then saw a wet footprint on the ground, a small one, like a woman had just stepped away barefoot. Yemi came running from her room, her face pale. "Who was that?" Rita couldn't answer, because as she stared at the footprint, she realized something worse. It matched her own foot exactly. Then that night the voice came back in her dreams. "Come wash, come wash, come." When she woke up, her night wrapper was soaked with river water. Rita sat on her mat staring at the damp cloth. Her cloth, the same one she wore to sleep, was soaked from the waist down, not with sweat, not with spilled water from the pot beside her. No, this was cold, muddy river water. The smell of wet leaves and dirty soil clung to it. She hadn't gone to the river. She was sure of it. Nana sat across the room, squinting at her through half-closed eyes. "You bathed last night again, didn't you?" Rita shook her head quickly. "No, Mama. I swear. I stayed inside. I didn't even step outside." Yemi walked in and took the wrapper from Rita. She sniffed it once, then dropped it like something had burned her fingers. "This is from the river," she said, her voice low. "Not the stream. The deep part, the forbidden part." Nana crossed her arms. "She's been touched." Rita's heart dropped. "Touched?" Nana didn't blink. "By a spirit. They call you when you bathe at night. They like water, especially girls who wash under the moon." Yemi sat slowly. "I warned you, Rita." "I didn't go," Rita whispered. "I stayed inside. I don't know how the wrapper..." But no one was listening. They were already whispering to each other, their faces tight with fear. Later that morning, while sweeping the compound, Yemi found tiny footprints, wet ones. They led from the edge of the house toward the back room, Rita's room. But they didn't belong to anyone in the house. The toes were too long. The heel was too sharp, like something had crawled on 2 feet that didn't belong to a human. That night, Nana lit a fire and placed dried leaves in the smoke. "Don't open the door if you hear a voice," she said. "What if it calls my name?" Rita asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Nana looked at her. "Especially if it calls your name." And that night the voice came again, but this time it was inside the house. Rita didn't remember falling asleep. 1 minute she was staring at the flames in the oil lamp beside her mat, and the next, everything was silent, too silent. Then she heard it, a soft whisper. Rita. She sat up slowly. The room was dark, the lamp flickering low. She turned her head toward the window. The curtains swayed gently, though the night air was still.
Rita.
It wasn't outside. It was inside. Her heart thudded in her chest. She glanced at Nana's mat. It was empty. Yemi's mat, too. She was alone in the room, alone with the voice. The whisper came again, louder now, like it was just behind the curtain. Come! Rita's mouth opened to scream, but nothing came out. Her throat was dry. She reached for the lamp and tried to turn the knob, but the flame only flickered weaker. Come to the water. She stood slowly, her legs trembling. Her wrapper was damp again, freshly soaked. The smell of river mud filled the room. She didn't want to, but her feet moved, one step, then another, toward the curtain. Her fingers stretched out to pull it aside, but just before she touched the cloth, something cold wrapped around her ankle. She gasped and looked down. There was a long, wet hand reaching from beneath her mat. It was pale, thin, and the nails were green. She kicked and screamed, stumbling backward, falling onto the floor. The lamp crashed beside her and went out. The darkness swallowed the room. From the corner, she heard breathing, slow, wet, steady breathing. Then the voice whispered again, closer this time. Why do you keep bathing at night? Rita curled into a ball and prayed until morning. When the sun rose and Nana entered the room, she found Rita sitting in the corner, her eyes wide and her clothes soaked with muddy water. She hadn't moved all night. Nana dropped her stick when she saw Rita. Her eyes widened as she rushed across the room. Rita, she said, lifting the girl's chin. What happened? Rita didn't speak. Her lips trembled. Her eyes were locked on the mat. Nana followed her gaze and saw the strange, wet handprint on the floor. It was big, too big to belong to anyone in the house. Yemi entered behind her, panting from running back from the market. What is it? She asked, then stopped. Her eyes met the mark. The room smelled of river water again. I told you, Nana whispered. I told you to stop bathing at night. Rita finally found her voice. There was a hand. It came out from under my mat. It grabbed me. Yemi looked down at her soaked wrapper. Did you bathe again? Rita nodded slowly. I don't know why. I woke up and I was wet. I don't remember going out. Nana stood and marched to the door. Enough, she said. We're going to the river. Now. Rita and Yemi followed her outside. The sun was bright, but Rita's skin felt cold. As they stepped into the compound, they all stopped. There were wet footprints leading from the back of the house to the door. Big footprints. They weren't Rita's. They weren't human. Some had 5 toes. Others had 6. Some looked like they had claws. Yemi gasped. It came into the house and left again before the rooster crowed. Then Yemi stared into the trees beyond their fence. No one said a word as they followed the footprints to the edge of the compound. Then they vanished, right where the dirt path turned to grass. Nana turned to Rita, her face tight with fear. It's watching you. Rita opened her mouth to argue, but she couldn't. Deep inside, she felt it too. Something was watching, and it wanted her. That night, Rita did not bathe. She stayed close to Nana, sitting by the fire as the old woman peeled cassava. For the first time in days, the house felt calm, but Rita couldn't relax. Every sound made her jump. The creak of the roof, the hoot of an owl, even the crackle of the fire. Her mind kept going back to the wet footprints, to the cold hand on her ankle, to the voice she thought she heard whisper her name. She didn't tell them about the whisper. She didn't want to scare them more. When it was time for bed, Nana tied a charm with red thread around Rita's wrist. Don't take it off, she said firmly. Even if you feel hot, even if it itches, don't remove it. Rita nodded. They locked the front door, then locked the back one too. Even the window was secured. Then everyone lay down. Yemi and Nana snored quietly on their mats. Rita kept her eyes open, staring at the ceiling. Minutes passed, then hours. The room was still, but just when Rita's eyes began to close, she heard it. Drip, drip. Her heart pounded. She turned her head slowly. At the corner of the room, a puddle. It wasn't there before. She sat up, eyes wide. The puddle grew bigger, spreading toward her mat. Rita covered her mouth, trying not to scream. She looked at the front door. It was still locked. The windows too, but the water was coming anyway. Suddenly, she heard it again. Drip. Then, whisper.
Rita.
The voice was soft, wet, like bubbles in a stream. The puddle stopped growing, but in the center of it, a shape formed. A hand with long, bony fingers. It pressed against the floor and began to rise. Rita grabbed her mat and scrambled back, bumping into Nana. The old woman sat up sharply. What is it? She asked. Rita pointed. The shape was gone. The puddle had dried, but the smell of river water remained. Nana looked at her and whispered, You were marked the night you bathed. It doesn't matter if you stop now. It's already begun. Rita sat trembling beside Nana, her mat forgotten on the floor. The puddle was gone, but her heart was still racing. The smell of river water lingered, damp and sour, like something old and rotten. Nana lit a small oil lamp and waved it toward the corner. Spirits like the dark, she muttered. That's why they come at night. Yemi wakes up from her sleep. What is going on? She asked groggily, rubbing her eyes. She saw it again, Nana said without turning. The water came back, and this time it tried to rise. Yemi's eyes widened. No, we locked everything. How could... It doesn't need doors, Nana cut in. Not anymore. She has already welcomed it. Rita looked between them, confused. Welcome what? I didn't do anything. Nana sat beside her and held her hand. When you bathe at night, you invited something. Something that only comes when the moon is high and the village sleeps. I just wanted to feel clean, Rita said quietly. It's not about the water, Nana said. It's about the time. The river spirits are not like us. They don't forget. And when you touched their path with bare feet and poured water over your head after sunset, they saw it as a greeting. Rita's lip quivered. So what now? Will it stop if I don't bathe at night again? Nana shook her head slowly. It would have stopped if you had ignored the first call, but you went again the second night. That's when it changed. Rita tried to speak, but her voice caught in her throat. Yemi grabbed her shoulder. There must be something we can do. There is, Nana said, but it is not easy. She must return to the river. Rita flinched. No, you must, Nana said. And when you do, you must not look back, no matter what you hear. The spirit will try to frighten you. It may cry like a baby or call your name in my voice, or Yemi's, but you must not answer. You must not stop. Rita's mouth felt dry. And if I do? Nana looked into her eyes. Then it won't be water you see next time. It will be blood. The lamp flickered, and all three sat in silence. The next morning the air felt heavy. Even the birds seemed quiet, as if the trees themselves were holding their breath. Rita sat on the edge of her mat, staring at the floor. Her fingers trembled as she tied the wrapper around her waist. Nana was outside, waiting. Yemi had refused to let her go alone, but Nana insisted. She must do this herself, Nana had said. Rita stepped outside, the ground cold under her feet. Nana stood by the door holding a small calabash filled with white chalk and herbs. She drew a line across Rita's forehead, then whispered something in a language Rita didn't understand. Walk slowly, Nana said. And remember, no matter what you see or hear, do not look back. The path to the river was narrow, lined with thick bushes and tall grasses. The sun had not fully risen, and shadows clung to the earth like dark stains. Each step Rita took felt heavier than the last. As she neared the riverbank, the wind picked up. Leaves rustled. The water ahead shimmered, calm and wide. Then she heard it. Her name.
Rita.
She froze. The voice was soft, gentle. It sounded just like her mother's. She bit her lip hard and kept walking. Rita, please come back, it whispered again. Closer this time. She quickened her steps. The calabash felt warm in her hands. Her heart pounded like a drum in her chest. Then came the laughter. High-pitched, strange, echoing through the trees. It wasn't human. Rita reached the edge of the river and knelt down. Her fingers trembled as she dipped the calabash into the water. It filled slowly. She whispered a prayer under her breath. Behind her, something moved. Leaves crackled. Branches snapped. Rita! The voice had changed now. It was deeper, hollow, wrong. Still, she did not turn. She poured the water on the ground and whispered, Go back. I did not mean to call you. The wind stopped. The air turned still, and for a moment, everything was silent. Then the river bubbled, just once, and she knew it had heard her. That evening, Rita didn't eat. She sat quietly in her room, her hands wrapped tightly around the calabash. Her mother and Nana watched her with worried eyes, but they didn't say anything. They knew the spirits were not done with her. When the sun disappeared and the sky turned dark, a strange silence filled the house again. No crickets, no frogs, just the ticking of the wall clock and the sound of Rita's breathing. Nana walked into the room and placed a hand on her shoulder. Tonight you must not go near water. No matter what happens, Rita, stay inside. Rita nodded slowly, but when midnight came, something pulled her from sleep. She opened her eyes and saw a trail of wet footprints leading from her door to the backyard. Her wrapper was soaked. The floor was wet. Her heart dropped. She looked at her feet, covered in mud. No, she whispered. I didn't go out. I didn't. Then she heard it. Splash from outside. Another splash. She grabbed her lantern and tiptoed to the window. The moonlight spilled over the yard, and there, by the old clay basin, stood a figure. It was her, but not exactly. This other Rita was bathing slowly, hands moving in slow circles. Her back was turned. Her skin looked gray under the moonlight. Her hair hung down, dripping with black water. The real Rita gasped. The figure turned. Same face, same eyes, but the mouth stretched too wide, and the smile, too sharp. Rita dropped the lantern and screamed. She ran to Nana's room shouting, "It's here! It's me! It's not me!" Nana and Yemi rushed to her, holding her tight. They stayed up the rest of the night, praying, chanting, lighting every candle they could find. And outside in the dark, something laughed, a low, cold laugh that promised it wasn't over. Not yet. By morning, Rita's eyes were sunken, and her hands trembled as she clutched her wrapper. She hadn't slept a wink. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw that twisted version of herself, bathing under the moonlight, wearing her face but smiling like a stranger. Nana placed a pot of herbs on the fire and waved the smoke over her. "We have to cleanse this house," she said. "There's something old here, something from the water, something angry." "But I stopped," Rita whispered. "I don't bathe at night anymore. Why won't it leave me alone?" Nana looked at her sadly. "It's not about the habit anymore. It's about what you woke up in the water." Yemi clutched her daughter's hands. "We'll fix this. You're not alone." That evening, Baba Ifa was called. He came with white chalk, salt, and herbs. After walking through the compound, he stopped near the bath basin. "This is where it entered," he said, staring into the water. "She invited it by returning here again and again." "Invited what?" Rita asked, her voice barely audible. "The water spirit," Baba Ifa replied. "She used to live in the river, but when people stopped respecting the old ways, she wandered. She waits for girls who bathe at night, girls who ignore warnings, girls like you." Rita's knees went weak. "She's attached now," Baba Ifa continued, "and she won't leave until you return what you took." "I didn't take anything," Rita said weakly. "You did," Nana said softly. "You took her silence for safety." Rita looked up, terrified. "What do I do?" "There's one chance," Baba Ifa said. "You must go back to the water at midnight, alone, and beg. Strip yourself of pride, of fear. Speak to her. Tell her you know what you did. If she accepts, she'll go. If not," he trailed off. Rita didn't need him to finish. She nodded slowly. "I'll do it." That night, she dressed in white and walked barefoot into the yard. The moon was full. The wind was silent. She stood before the basin, trembling. "I'm sorry," she whispered into the night. No answer. "I was foolish," she cried. "I didn't know." Then the water rippled. Behind her footsteps, she turned and saw herself again. Only this time, the other Rita was smiling kindly. Then it vanished and the water went still. Rita fell to her knees. It was over. Maybe. But as she stood and turned to go inside, a soft voice whispered from the basin, "If you ever forget again, I'll be waiting." Do you think Rita truly broke the curse? Or did the spirit only retreat? Why do you think the spirit chose Rita and not someone else? Would you ever bathe outside at night again after hearing this story? If you enjoy the story, don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, and turn on the bell notification to be the first to be notified when we post a new story. Love you all.